Hello, everyone, and thank you for your time and attention for joining this stream. News summary from Moscow. Today is 2nd of July. Now it's 11 o'clock Moscow time, and I have prepared quite a number of news on some major developments. And hopefully, you will find this episode informative and useful. Before I start with the news segment, let me just remind you that yesterday late evening at 11 p.m., I launched a second stream for a day, and I spoke about many topics. And if you have not paid attention to it, and if you have a time, and please check out that video or the short clip that I made from that yesterday's stream. You can see it on my YouTube and Rumble pages. I will repeat some of the news, but not all of them from that second latest update, obviously. And also, before I start, let me notice and use a couple of more seconds so that more people will join the stream. Let me just notice that if you like my work, if you like my channels, and want to see further development of this project, well, please consider to support my work either with donations through PayPal or Boosty or the crypto, or by subscribing to my Patreon page or page that I have on Boosty. That will help me a great deal to maintain this project. And also, you can use Rumble, dear friends. You can use Rumble during the streams to for super chat to donate, and also you can become a premium subscriber there on Rumble because channel is monetized on Rumble, and unfortunately will never be monetized on YouTube. And so, okay, let's begin with our live stream now. And as I did yesterday, dear friends, I'm gonna start with this important news, in my personal opinion, that yesterday Putin and Macron, presidents of Russia and France, had their phone conversation for the first time in almost the 3 years. Main topics of discussion were Ukraine and their situation in the Middle East. In yesterday's live stream, I went through details of the statement that Kremlin made about this conversation. I would not repeat myself. It is understandable that Ukraine and Middle East would be topic of discussion, but in my opinion, main reason why Macron called Russian president yesterday, not months ago, not 2 months ago, but yesterday, is that French elites, I guess, sense that they might have a chance to deal with the regime in Azerbaijan, with whom France, French leadership, political leadership, and French elites do have a significant row and issues. And I think President of France, during their 2-hour-long conversation, by the way, probably test the ground if Moscow would greenlight France to go ahead with their potential regime change operation in Azerbaijan. And well, I cannot know for sure how would Putin react on that possible initiative from Macron, but I would definitely not be surprised if Putin would indicate that you know what, France, you do you, and we will observe their situation. Just make sure that you're not gonna blow up entire Southern Caucasus region, which is extremely complicated part of this world. So I think main reason why Macron called Putin yesterday is Azerbaijan, not necessarily Ukraine and the Middle East, but Azerbaijan. Although obviously Azerbaijan topic is connected with the overall situation in the Middle East right now and possible future developments. And I will explain, dear friends, what I mean by saying so. Yesterday, I spoke about this during the live stream. And I saw in the comment sections that some members of community did not really take my arguments, did not really believe that France would even attempt to do some regime change in Azerbaijan, especially now when there is significant tensions between Moscow and Baku. And well, on my part, I don't take that argument because geopolitics is a complex stuff, isn't it? And for example, in different parts of the world, France and Russia that are at this point in hostile relationships due to aggressive policies of the France and the collective West in general towards Russia. In some parts of the world, these two countries are actually on the same side. And for example, I can give you Libya, by the way, where, as we all know, there is a separation of the country on two major political military blocs. There is a internationally recognized government in Tripoli, and there is also government in Benghazi, and country is basically divided like 50-50 between these two groups. And Russia and France actually are on the same side in terms of Libya. Italy is also there, I believe, right? While Turkey, for example, supports Tripoli government. Russia, France, number of other NATO member states are, directly, indirectly supporting Benghazi government. Turkey and some other countries are Tripoli government. So you see, there is situations when countries that are, for certain reasons, hostile to each other can be allies in some other cases. So therefore, I am 110%, by the way, convinced that this call of Macron is mostly related with situation in Azerbaijan and the current dispute, political crisis between Russia and that Southern Caucasus Republic. And I can give you more information on that from my take. One should also keep in mind, dear friends, that even though France formally is controlled by globalists, French elites are definitely not happy that to be in a position that they have to obey some sort of directives from London. French elites and British aristocracy, British royal family are on hostile terms for centuries, right? And this will not change anytime soon. Nothing to be said about competition between Paris and London to play leading role in European affairs. And also nothing to be said about competition of energy companies of their two countries, very powerful energy companies, right? But let's go through some details here. When it comes to French Azerbaijani relationships, Baku and Paris are on hostile terms because on one side there is a significant Armenian lobby in the diaspora in France, and there are also powerful lobby, and France is currently actively supporting Armenian military. France is actively engaged in Armenia's domestic politics together with a number of other Western countries, and that caused some tensions between Baku and Paris. But this is not all. You remember, dear friends, and I was reporting about it, that during the relatively recent bloody uprising in French overseas territories, in French Guyana, for example, there was reports that, and France officially, I believe, accused Azerbaijan for being involved in that uprising, for financing that separatist movement and so on. Azerbaijan denied these allegations, but nevertheless, tensions further escalate between their countries. So we also should keep in mind that, as I said, there is a big competition between energy elites and their energy sectors of the France and UK. And currently, it is UK that is basically operating in Azerbaijan when it comes to energy resources of this country, vast energy resources of this country. And I just remind you, dear friends, that Azerbaijan, since the discovery of oil, by the way, and gas, was and is one of their main energy producers on a territory of former Soviet Union. After all, there was a reason why during the Great Patriotic War, during the Second World War, Nazi Germany diverted its forces, significant forces, towards Southern Caucasus, towards Northern Caucasus, and ideally they wanted to conquer Caucasus region entirely to reach oil fields in Chechnya, which is a Russian autonomous republic in North Caucasus, and also oil fields of Azerbaijan, right? And now, with all these energy riches of Azerbaijan, works BP. British energy companies are involved there, and France would love to have a share, of course, right? And if they will be green-lighted by Moscow to go ahead and deal with the regime of Aliyev one way or another, then, well, very first day or shortly after regime change there, probably BP will be sidelined and the French energy companies will take a piece in that lucrative sector, isn't it? So that's the reasoning, one more reasoning why France is interested in Azerbaijan, in Southern Caucasus region. Also, we should keep in mind that France historically has quite good relationships with Iran, and during the Islamic Revolution, we all know that future supreme leader of Iran traveled to the country from France. He was living in France, isn't it? And certain connections between France and Iran still in place, and this is also a factor. If France now will deal with the hostile to Iran Azerbaijani regime, then that might open for France possibility to get engaged with Iran in energy sector, to have some preferences in case US or America First groups in US will manage to give a good fight to a globalist, right? And to derail their plans about a regional war in the Middle East. Theoretically speaking, that's a possibility, right? And Trump himself in recent days spoke about possibility that sanctions might actually be lifted from Iran. And we cannot know if he was serious about it or not, but in case he was serious, well, France will have additional stimulus then to do whatever they can to basically foment their foundation for future cooperation with Iran in energy sector, right? And also, dear friends, we should keep in mind that under current leadership, Azerbaijan is become a proxy of Israel, and Turkey and France don't really have great relationships with either of these countries. So therefore, I mean, yesterday I spoke about this topic. Now I'm sharing some more information. So you will have a better understanding of my vision of the situation, my reading of the big picture, and that's why I'm saying that most likely yesterday, French president called Russian counterpart to mainly discuss Azerbaijan, not necessarily Ukraine or the some other topics. Share your opinion, dear friends, on the matter. But yet again, if London right now, British aristocracy, British elites are behind this escalation between Baku and Moscow, which is clearly a possibility, and most likely that is the case, because London sees risks that they might lose this its influence in this part of the world, especially after recent developments between Israel and Iran, US and Iran, right? And also we should keep in mind that the British energy sector is and British elites are in a conflict with the US America First Group and the US energy sectors, and that's the reason why UK orchestrated attacks on Caspian Pipeline consortium, right? That transfers Kazakhstani oil mainly through Russian territory to the European or the world market, right? And that consortium, its infrastructure was targeted several times, formally by Kiev regime, but in reality, obviously, UK was behind it, and therefore, London understands perfectly well that if Washington will dare to oppose globalist plans about full-scale regional war to be provoked in the Middle East, and if Washington will begin dealing with Tehran to make some deals with Tehran, then most likely London gonna lose its influence in Caucasus region, first of all in Azerbaijan, which is yet again big deal, obviously, right? So yes, BP is in trouble, by the way, and British energy sector. But yet again, let's wait and see what additional information will be available in upcoming days. But yet again, I'm quite confident that London is behind this escalation between Baku and Moscow, and Paris is on offensive now to sideline basically UK and British interests in Azerbaijan, and to take over basically. And that's why I think Macron was asking for a green light to go ahead with whatever plans they have, by the way. And I'm not going to speculate how exactly France going to operate against Aliyev's regime, or against the regime of Ilham Aliyev, who is the president of Azerbaijan there now. But some very serious developments are going to happen for sure, right? That being said, dear friends, let me also give you some additional information about this escalation between Baku and Moscow that was provoked by Baku, by the way, absolutely unnecessarily. Basically, what was a criminal investigation of Russian security services quickly have been transformed into a political crisis between the two countries. Azerbaijan leadership, yet again, I think, under influence of London, decided to escalate with Moscow because they are afraid. They are just afraid, and for reasons, I guess, right? And this escalation is not stopping. And yesterday, Azerbaijani side, despite the Russian warnings that was given to Azerbaijani ambassador, who was summoned by foreign ministry, Azerbaijani side went to basically arrest 7 Sputnik Azerbaijan employees, including editor editor-in-chief of the Sputnik Azerbaijan media outlet. And this was not enough for Baku, and they went to publicly humiliated these arrested people. It's not just Sputnik Azerbaijan stuff, but also some other Russian citizens were detained and tortured, by the way, beaten, tortured, and then filmed. And this video was published by Azerbaijani side to publicly humiliate not just these Russian citizens, but also Russia. That's what they were attempting to do. And let me show you, by the way, what Azerbaijani side did actually. Just they added some dramatic music to this video that they published. They paraded these detained people that were accused of some stupid fake crimes that they did not committed. This is a clearly political stand on part of Aliyev regime that cannot be trusted, by the way, whatsoever, right? And that's the video that they published. And as I said, Azerbaijani so-called law enforcement officers tortured these arrested individuals, Russian citizens. Take a look at the pictures, by the way, that are available on internet, and you will see that these individuals were actually tortured. Just look at this. All of them are beaten by these so-called law enforcement agencies of Azerbaijan. All of them are beaten blood in blood. It's a horrific pictures. Just take a look at this, by the way. Right? That's what Azerbaijani side did, and clearly, I think Baku crossed the red lines or point of no return, and therefore I think it is quite a possibility that if Macron asked for a green light to take care of that regime in Baku, then Moscow would say, you know what, do whatever you want to do, just make sure you're not going to blow up entire region. Because yet again, after this escalation, red line was crossed, point of no return was crossed by Azerbaijani side, and I don't think there is even a slight chance now to rebuild the relationships between Russian political leadership and the political leadership of Azerbaijan. And this is not the first time, by the way, this is not the first time when Baku is acting provocatively against Russia, right? And while Macron, president of France, were calling to Russian president to discuss certain topics, and I believe Azerbaijan also, guess who called the president of Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev? Vladimir Zelensky, by the way, head of a Western-backed terrorist regime in Kiev. Vladimir Zelensky called his Azerbaijani counterpart and thanked for all the support that Azerbaijan is providing for this terrorist regime in Kiev. So now you know where Aliyev stands, right? Yet again, all this crisis is roots of this crisis. If we traced it back, goes to London, in my personal opinion, and as time goes by, we will see more and more indicators of that. London and current regime in Azerbaijan are afraid that after Israel, after Zionists failed and their supporters in the West failed to provoke regional war in the Middle East, to dismantle Iran, London and Baku understand that, well, their positions gonna be, shaken, and they're gonna begin losing big time. French elites sense this moment, and they basically send Macron to ordered Macron basically to have a conversation with the Russian president and discuss potential steps that Paris will take with assistance of some other players on geopolitical scale in regards to Azerbaijan. Let's see. Soon we will have more information on that. And meanwhile, dear friends, let's continue with some other news. And according to media reports, Pentagon holds weapon supplies to Kiev over depleted stockpiles. So the Pentagon has suspended the shipment of several categories of US-made weapons to Ukraine, according to Politico and NBC News. Decision reportedly followed an internal review of American weapons reserves ordered by US Defense Secretary Pat Hegseth, aiming rising concerns about the rate at which munition are being depleted. The move reportedly affects dozens of dozens of Patriot missile interceptors, Stinger and AIM surface-to-air and air-to-air missiles, hundreds of Hellfire and GMLRS systems, as well as thousands of 155mm artillery shells that Washington had previously pledged to Kiev. Some of the weapons which were already positioned in Europe have now been withheld and will be provided to Ukrainian forces and would not be provided to Ukrainian forces. The weapons in question had been funded under the Biden administration through two mechanisms: direct drawdowns from existing US military stockpiles and the Ukraine Security Assistance Initiative, which contracts new production from defense contractors. The Trump's administration has not yet requested any additional aid for Kiev, and existing resources are expected to last only several more months, according to Politico. So, interesting step on part of Pentagon, on part of the White House. They are suspending supplies of certain weapon systems, not all weapon systems, but certain weapon systems to the regime. And explanation is that, well, the stockpiles are depleted. Okay, I can give you statement from White House on this matter. Let's listen to this short video, by the way, how White House is explaining.
Tells me, quote, this decision was made to put America's interests first following a Department of Defense review of our nation's military support and assistance to other countries across the globe. The strength of the United States Armed Forces remains unquestioned. Just ask Iran.
So that's the explanation from White House, although understandably, so globalists and globalist-controlled media gonna go wild about this topic, isn't it? And they're gonna begin accusing Trump and Pat Hexet and just about everybody in the Trump's administration for being Putin's puppet or something like that. All the traditional stuff, by the way. But yet again, unfortunately, US continues to supply significant volume of weapons and munition to Kiev regime, and partial suspension of these supplies I would not characterize as a significant shift in US's policies. At least for now, that's how I see the things. If in upcoming weeks, US will completely stop transferring the weapons, then I will adjust my take on the situation. Let's continue with some more news, and interesting information is coming from Belarus, from President of this republic, Lukashenko, who stated that Russian intermediate range hypersonic missile systems under the name of Oreshnik, all of us are familiar with this system, will be deployed in Belarus by the end of this year. And I think this is a very important development, because due to range of this weapon system, which is 45,000 kilometers, I believe, any point on the continental Europe and in UK, by the way, also are can be taken out if necessary, if it comes to it, right? Let's hope it will not happen, and we will see some major de-escalation between West and Russia. But same time, let's be realistic, isn't it? Unfortunately, globalists, as I said many times before, have no reverse gear, have no brakes, and therefore, at least from globalist-controlled regimes in Europe, in UK, Germany, also France, potentially, and others probably will, continue escalation with Russia, and at some point they might actually trigger Russian response in significant scale. Who knows? In any ways, I'm quite sure NATO leadership in Brussels and military and political leadership of NATO member states, especially in Europe, are paying great deal of attention to this development because they know there is no place where they can hide from rationing. If it comes to it. Also, Lukashenko made quite a strong statement in regards to some of its neighbors and said that Poland and the Baltic States might actually disappear from a world map, which is, I mean, quite a strong statement, isn't it? So Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko said that Poland and the Baltic States are turning into a military training ground and risk disappearing from the world map again, as it had happened before in history quite a number of times. Lukashenko at the ceremonial meeting on the country's Independence Day emphasized that the Poland and the Baltic States are turning into yet another military testing ground on a pair with Ukraine. TASS reports, according to Lukashenko, such states are of no interest to their Western neighbors in any capacity other than as a military site. Lukashenko noted that nobody wants to remember how the eastward march of, as it is now fashionable to say, Hitler's European Union ended. This is why Poland and the Baltic countries allowed themselves to be turned into yet another military testing ground after Ukraine. Our closest neighbors are of absolute no interest to the West in any other status. If they want to disappear from their world map once again, they will be there. That will be their choice. And well, what can I say, dear friends? Strong statements from Lukashenko. You know, me personally, I don't see a scenario in which Poland and Baltic states will disappear from a political map, or at least not because of some Russian actions. If sometime in the future Germany and Poland will get engaged in military hostilities, which is quite possible, I think that's a whole different story. If these countries will disappear due to actions of their current European allies, NATO allies, that's a whole different story. But they're not going to disappear from political map because of the actions of the Russia, because Russia has no interest to wage war against anybody and will not be engaged in military operations if not provoked. I mean, this is so clear. I mean, and if anybody pays any attention to actions of the Russia, to political, to statements of Russian political elites, I mean, they will have no doubts about what I just said. If not provoke, Russia will continue to be focused on itself, on its further development, and will not even think for a second to wage war against other countries. Why would? You know? So, yet again, strong statements from Lukashenko, warnings, basically, and I will agree with him that globalists consider these Baltic states and the Poland and the other Eastern European countries as their potential military theater. They don't care about them, obviously. They only consider them as a tool against Russia, and that's it. That's it, by the way. And it is unfortunate that people in these republics still not realizing that. I mean, I struggle to understand how they can still be this blind to the reality. But well, yet as Lukashenko said, I mean, it's their choice, isn't it? If they want to be tool in hands of globalists, then I mean, okay, they should be ready for potential consequences too. That's all. Meanwhile, interesting report that Great Britain, United Kingdom, and Germany will sign a treaty with their mutual defense. Politico reported, citing sources, and I think this is also interesting news because this type of developments, by the way, clearly highlights ineffectiveness of NATO and also highlights that NATO member states do not believe in this organization, right? Why would otherwise they will begin signing up for a bilateral defense pact between their NATO member states, when NATO itself has this 5th article, isn't it? According to which if one NATO member is attacked, all NATO members are attacked, and they are obligated kind of to get engaged, right? But clearly, NATO member states have no belief, have no trust in NATO, and that's why Germany and UK, France and Poland, and a number of other countries are seeking these bilateral defense pacts. Okay, they can do whatever they want in this regard, but yet again, while doing so, they clearly are highlighting the weaknesses of this anti-Russian military alliance that NATO is, right? RT, meanwhile, is reporting that Italy could classify 13.5 billion bridge as a NATO spending. So Italian authorities are looking to classify a long-term project to construct a bridge connecting their mainland to the island of Sicily as a NATO expenditure aimed their struggle to meet the bloc's spending goals, according to Politico. Decision has not yet been made by Italian government, but if they will succeed in this, then I guess other countries will follow, because maybe just a few NATO members now are, have enough courage to say it openly that they will not be able to increase their defense spendings up to 5%, like Spain does. But many other countries, or majority of NATO member states, actually are in no position to increase their defense spendings up to 5% of GDP, by the way, right? Which is in many cases is to double or even triple their defense spendings. They cannot afford that, right? And if Italy will succeed in this kind of scam, and if they will pretend that this bridge is a NATO infrastructure, then in that case, I mean, Germany will follow suit, and the Germans will say, you know what, all these roads and bridges and everything that we build, it's huh? Really? Oh, that's unfortunate. I just been told that screen capture is not working, which is unfortunate. Why is that?
As said.
Where is the... Okay. Sorry for this technical issue, dear friends. And so yes, if Italy will succeed, all the other countries going to follow, isn't it? And whatever infrastructure they will build there, they will pretend that that is their increase of defense spending. Okay, I mean, this is one way to go, isn't it? I don't think Brussels is going to be happy about it, or the Washington, but yet again, let's see if this trick will work, isn't it? Interesting take from Italian leadership there. Also, we have this report that NATO state is about to begin conscription of the women. So women in Denmark are now subject to conscription following a change to their relevant law made by the country's parliament a few weeks ago. The move came as a NATO, of which Denmark is a member, increases its military readiness, citing a perceived threat from, this illusional threat from Russia after the escalation of the Ukraine conflict in February 2022. At the bloc summit in The Hague last week, member states agreed to ramp up defense spending. In May, the European Union approved their 150 billion euro or $171 billion borrowing plan to support its own military build-up, and that is all understandable. But according to this newly adopted Danish legislation, full equality equality between men and women in relation to military service should be implemented, and therefore women who turned 18 on or after 1st July 2025 will have to draw a draft lottery number and thus could be ordered to serve military service if there are not enough volunteers. Female conscripts will serve under the same conditions as men. So, okay, Denmark, I mean, way to go. I don't know. What is your take on that, dear friends? I don't think a woman should serve in the military at all, right? Because war is definitely not a woman's job. My personal take, by the way, I can be called sexist for saying so, but I don't care. I don't think women should be in war, right? Woman is too precious, and we cannot risk with life or the health of the females in militaries, on battlefield and so on. My personal take, but anyways, I mean, when I see this kind of news, I just remember how correct I was when I don't know, a year or 2 years ago, I predicted that many NATO member states will begin adopting conscription again, and well, almost every NATO member state is talking about it right now, and in some countries already actually legislative norms being adopted. You know. And to continue, dear friends, RT is reporting that Trump threatens Hamas with something worse if they would not agree on terms of ceasefire. So US President Donald Trump has warned Hamas against rejecting a new American-backed ceasefire proposal, stating that the militant group's position will only deteriorate if it refuses to accept the deal, which has reportedly already been agreed upon with Israel. And talks are about 60-day ceasefire. At this point, formally, Israel agreed on this proposal, a deal from US. But yet again, can anybody trust either Israel leadership or the US leadership? I mean, that's the question. Can anybody actually trust Netanyahu or Trump? No. Answer is straight up there, isn't it? No, they cannot be trusted. So, therefore, no matter what kind of threats Trump gonna issue towards Hamas, if Israel and the US cannot be trusted, then you can threaten Hamas or any other group as much as you like, but if they cannot trust you, then what they can do. I mean, I don't know. I'm pretty much convinced, by the way, that my initial prediction in regards to Gaza Strip wasn't this correct when I was saying that Israel will try to implement Karabakh scenario in Gaza. Which means forcing locals out of the region and then occupying region on a permanent basis. And unfortunately, the situation is developing exactly on that direction. And one should also didn't forget that Trump is a person who openly said, by the way, that he supports ethnic cleansing in Gaza. He openly, publicly said that residents of Gaza should be removed from there, right? So, I don't know, everyone hopes, everyone who wants to see peace in this world hopes for the escalation to happen in the Middle East, but same time, if we are realists, we will understand that Israel is not about de-escalating anything. So it is what it is, isn't it? And on that very topic, we have this statement, for example, that Gaza war must continue, according to Israeli minister. Israeli finance minister Bezalel Smotrich, extreme radical fascist, by the way, has said that the war in Gaza must continue until decisive victory is achieved, rejecting calls for ceasefire on negotiated settlement. And Smotrich is not alone. Entire Israeli leadership is that kind of individuals, by the way, and many of them openly are saying that they have some genocidal intent. They want to genocide Palestinian people, and they are doing it, right, in real time. And they are openly expressing opinion that they want to force Palestinians out from Gaza Strip now, from West Bank then, and that is not enough for them, for these fascists. They want to occupy territories of all the neighboring countries to build this greater Israel or whatever they have in mind. And when this is happening, by the way, I mean, even if Hamas leadership wants to end the hostilities, I mean, question is how they can trust either Israeli side or US. And we should also keep in mind, dear friends, that every time Hamas appointed negotiator with Israel, that negotiator was killed. In many cases with entire families of negotiators were killed too. So who's going to negotiate with Israel, by the way, when Israel is killing negotiators? That's also topic to keep in mind, isn't it? And to stay on the Middle East, by the way, Trump was asked about Iran, and he said that U.S. will get whatever they want from Iran. Share your opinion, dear friends, if you are on the same page with Trump on this statement. Let me give you a short video of that.
I will tell you, he's coming here next week. He wants to end it too. We had a tremendous success with Iran. They won't have me. Somebody said, when are you going to sign? I said, sign? They are so bombed out. Did you see the report issued this morning? The place was decimated. It'll be years before anybody even gets down there. So that's not a priority, but we'll have a report and we'll have whatever we want. We'll get whatever we want from Iran. And I think, and I hope they want to have a good country. You know, they have massive sanctions right now, biting sanctions. It's going to be very hard for them to do anything with those sanctions. And I look forward to maybe there'll be a time when we get along with them and they can rebuild their country.
Is there a point where you tell Netanyahu, like, you gotta end this now, you gotta strike a deal?
Well, he wants to. I can tell you he wants to, and I think we'll have it. I think we'll have a deal next week. That's what I think.
So, I mean, I don't know what to say, dear friends. I mean, is Trump correct while saying that they will get anything from Iran? Is US in that position, really? We have I shared yesterday this video, but I will share again. We have statement from Abbas Araghchi, foreign minister of Iran, and he's quite clear that
your government could restart as early as this week. Will that happen?
I don't think negotiations will restart as quickly as that. In order for us to decide to re-engage, we will have to first ensure that America will not revert back to targeting us in a military attack during the negotiations. And I think with all these considerations, we still need more time.
Still, the door is not entirely closed to direct talks with the U.S.
The doors of diplomacy will never slam shut.
So, I don't know. That's the Abbas Araghchi, by the way. His statement clearly, I mean, major issue at this point that West is facing, I will say, is absence of trust. Even if tomorrow, something happened to Trump and he will try to negotiate with a good faith, he's gonna face this issue of absence of trust. How he can be trusted, or anybody from the Western elites? I mean, literally anybody. So this is a big issue, but I don't know. I don't know if Western elites even care about it at this At this point, a few more news, dear friends. RIA Novosti this morning reported, and many other media outlets, that the Iranian president issued a decree to suspend cooperation with the IAEA. So this is official. Iran will no longer cooperate with the International Atomic Energy Agency, and they will definitely not cooperate with the head of this formally international organization, in reality asset of CIA, MI6, and Mossad, right? And for good reasons, by the way. For good reasons, Iran made this decision. IAEA cannot be trusted. They should not be trusted until entire leadership of this organization is changed, and until IAEA will get rid of influence from Western secret services. I guess everybody would agree with that. These so-called UN bodies, by the way, international organizations, are so discredited at this point that, I mean, without fundamental reforms, hardly anybody will ever trust them. It's just that obvious, isn't it? Also, according to reports, Iran loaded their naval mines after Israel's June 13 strike, possibly preparing to block the Strait of Hormuz. This information was reported by Reuters. The strait, just 20 miles wider, with a 2-mile shipping line, links the Persian Gulf with the Arabian Sea. And dear friends, according to reports, some 20 to 30% of global oil is transported through Persian Gulf and through Hormuz Strait on daily basis. So it's a vital energy shipping line, right? And if it comes to shutdown of the navigation through Hormuz Strait, obviously that will be huge strike on world economy and huge strike on Chinese economy, and that's exactly what globalists want. So therefore, I think this report of Reuters is should be questioned. Iran might preparing itself for potential aggression, to repel potential aggression, but without extreme situation, without extreme reasons, in no circumstances, Iran will itself shut down navigation, either in the Persian Gulf or or through Hormuz Strait, because it's not in Iran's interest, right? But they are preparing for possible and maybe even inevitable attack from Israel, from globalists and globalist control regimes, let's say. And I will end new segment of today's first live stream with this report that Russia has handed over the newest Project 11356 stealth frigate, Tamal, to their Indian Navy. The contract for this project of frigates between Russia and India was signed in 2018. Indian Navy already has 6 frigates of this project, and on your screen, dear friend, you can see how this frigate looks. Let me increase the picture, by the way. I guess India is quite happy with this vessel, with its capabilities, right? Oh, I don't have a picture of it. Okay. Nevertheless, that is the vessel that India is operating with. Great news that I want to end this news segment with. Of course, any close cooperation and improved cooperation between Russia and India is a great news, and I will applaud. And that's it, dear friends. That's it for this news segment. Share in the comment section after the live stream what you think about my analysis. Was there any super chat? There was no super chat during the stream, but there was a donation on PayPal from Fuad. Thank you very much for your donation. Truly grateful. And comment is hi Levan, love your work. I'm a Palestinian Australian. Thanks for voicing your support to the injustice in Palestine and the world. Thank you once again. Thank you once again for your assistance, for your commentary. And of course, it's an obligation of every human being to voice the voice, to speak about this injustice that is happening in regards to Palestinian people. It's all everybody's obligation. I'm quite sure generations after us will be shamed of our generation, because we were unable to stop this genocide that Israel is committing. I'm quite sure our grandkids and their kids will be ashamed of generation that we represent, because we were unable to be stronger and capable of stopping this genocide. I mean, it's true, isn't it? And dear friends, let's take 15-20 minutes for Q&A part. As always, I will go through chat, and when I see a question, I will try to react on it and be as informative as I can. Capital Q or capital letters in a sentence will help me to notice it faster. So Don Zugar is asking, Levan, have you ever seen a black Russian terrier? Are there ubiquitous in Russia? I don't know. Even if I see, I would not recognize, because I only know a few dog species that I can recognize, right? German Shepherd and the Caucasian Shepherd and Cane Corso and Bully, American Bully, a few more maybe, but I'm not a kinologist, so I don't know. Maybe I have seen, dear friend, but I would not recognize, because I don't know how they look. Okay, let's see some more questions. I see commentary from Svetlana Vladimirova. To what extent do you think Britain is behind the flooding of Russia with the Central Asians? Andrei Lugovoy said this was the case in their Duma recently. Well, we have every reason to believe that Lugovoy has great enough information to make such a statement. I definitely see logic behind it, because as I already said in today's live stream, in my understanding, London is behind of current escalation between Baku and Moscow too. So obviously, London, through its influence in Turkey, together with the Turkey, and one should keep in mind that Turkey is not Turkish elites, by the way, political elites, including current regime, is not so much relies on US when it comes to relationships, but on UK. They have very long-standing relationships, right? Turkish elites and British elites. And so, yes, I can see logic behind the statement of Lugovoy, and I can believe that London is trying to destabilize relationships between Russia and the Central Asian republics, and also currently, right now, between Russia and Azerbaijan. So yes, I will say I'm on the same page with Lugovoy on that. topic. Thank you for the question. Let's check more questions. Sorry, dear friends, if I miss your question. I'm scrolling quite fast, and I will stop if I see some capital letters, capital Q or something. And let me remind you also, dear friends, that yesterday I had this second live stream late evening at 11. And also this morning I published short episode from that live stream. And if you have time, please check out those videos. At least click like button there and leave some commentary so that our videos will reach wider audience potentially. And if you can, please also leave some commentary after stream under this video, and like this stream also. Right now, super chat from on Rumble from Miss Muted. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing nickname correctly. Question is there protests for Gaza in Russia? There are no protests, no demonstrations, because the Russian government is very vocal about its position in regards to developments in the Gaza Strip, and Russian officials, not just from Moscow but also from UN, criticized on many occasions actions of the Israeli regime, and therefore, when public knows where Russia stands, there is no demonstrations to force government to criticize Israel for its actions, as we see protests in the Western countries where governments are actually in support of Israeli actions, right? Only lately, some of the governments in European countries began criticizing actions of the Israel. This terrible actions that Israel is committing in Gaza. But even though at least some governments in Europe began criticizing Israel, they are not really doing anything really, to influence Israel, and many of these countries are actually still supplying weapons to Israel. So therefore, I can understand why people are protesting in UK, for example, or in France, or in Germany, because they want their government to stop supplies of weapons and to do something about, use their influence potential to stop Israeli regime from committing this genocide. While Russian government is on the right side already, and was always right, and therefore there are no reasons for public to go out on the streets and demand from government that criticize Israel, do this or do that. The Russian position is very clear. Unfortunately, Russian influence on Israel is not as big as influence of Western countries, because Israel is not dependent on Russian weapon supplies. For example, Israel depends on weapon supplies from the NATO countries, and NATO countries are not using this leverage to stop Netanyahu and his affiliates, right? Once again, thank you for super chat and question. Let's and I guess this is it, dear friends. A question from Nidish Kumar. Levan, you don't need France join Greece, Cyprus, Armenia, and India. New bloc. Well, thank you for your comment. All countries that you mentioned do have issues. With Turkey and with Azerbaijan. So there is a clear link there. And well, this is it. Oh, I can see a question, by the way. Left side crew is asking, what about Roman Abramovich and his support for Netanyahu and Israel? Much coverage in Russia. Well, Roman Abramovich is a private citizen, isn't it? Maybe he is a multi-billionaire, but he is not representative of Russia. He is not Russian official, right? And private citizens can have whatever position they want. I mean, you cannot dictate to people what to think, right? It's up to their morality, principles, humanity, what takes they have in this or that situation, right? So I did not see no statements from Abramovich. I don't know where he stands, but in any ways, I mean, Russia is represented by its officials, right? And Russian officials were very clear in regards to Israeli attack on Palestinians and in regards to US-Israeli attack on Iran. Russian officials were very clear, by the way, and they are very clear. There is no room for any interpretations there, right? Russia strongly criticized criminal actions that Israel and US had committed. Also, Nidish Kumar is asking, Levan, how does insurance policy works in Russia? Well, all citizens have insurance, isn't it? I mean, once you are citizen, you are automatically, getting insurance. You can have a private insurance also, right? There are private insurance companies that you can choose, but state provides you with insurance anyways, right? And so it's Ань, они страховка, она же у всех, да, у всех граждан. ОМС, да, вот, оно просто автоматически дается всем гражданам, да. Да, мы все платим налоги и как бы... Yeah. All citizens of Russian Federation and all non-citizens of Russian Federation, but ones that have a permit for permanent stay in Russia are automatically receiving insurance for free. I mean, for free, yes. I mean, it's kind of for free, but then we all are taxpayers, isn't it? So therefore, we are paying for that. But you are, you have insurance automatically when you are citizen of Russian Federation, and if you want to, let's say, migrate to Russia, and once you will receive a permit for permanent stay, then you will get insurance automatically through. That's how it is. Although same time, there is a private insurance companies, and I mean, you can insure, you can use service of those companies, anytime you want. And also, yes, I just remember when I was working, before I started focusing full-time on this project, by the way, as you know, I was working in a private business, right? And I had the DMS. Company was paying for my insurance. So that's also practiced here. Company was paying for my insurance. I never used it, but, if I wanted to go to dentist or to, I don't know, man, there are cases in which company would pay for, So I never used it, but yes, companies also are providing insurance. So state provides you insurance, companies provide you insurance. And then also there is a lot of private insurance companies that you can choose from. So that's how it works. А где вопрос? Also, question from Miss Me with it. Am I said correctly? Miss Me with it. Okay. Also, a question: do you think British are still mad that Catherine the Great helped us in the Revolutionary War and did not help the British? This confrontation between Russian and British elites, royal families at the time, and also elites in general, traces back 4 centuries, isn't it? And I'm not an expert. I mean, I cannot really explain what is wrong with British elites, why they hate us so much, right? But 4 centuries, this goes back 4 centuries, by the way. Once Russia become truly massive, major ground, major, not just empire, but also military force. When Russia expanded in the Far East, I guess at that point, British aristocracy thought that maybe Russia will challenge them in the Pacifics, and they become extremely anti-Russian and began generating anti-Russian sentiment some 200 years ago, by the way, 300 years ago. And as a result, then it's like a chain reaction, isn't it? Every next generation was building on their previous hatred towards Russia, and now we are in a situation when you will struggle to find even a single person in the British aristocracy or the elites that would say single positive word about Russia. They are built that way, and teach that way to hate Russia. And nothing to be said about military confrontations that London was engaged with Russia. Crimean wars, by the way. UK was also, British Empire was also supporting White Army during the Civil War after the revolution, right? And in all cases, this confrontation with Russia did not end well for UK. And that might also play some role, but in general, I think this hatred is coming from fear of competition. I guess that's how it is. I don't know. I mean, probably, but of course, historians, by the way, probably will explain better from where roots of British hatred towards Russia is coming, or hatred of British elites. I mean, I'm not talking about ordinary people, by the way, that most likely have no issues with nobody, right? If they are left alone and no one is bothering them, then I don't think ordinary Brits, by the way, hate anybody, right? As are ordinary people just in any other country, But elites, they have different mindsets, right? That they are crazy. So Nidish Kumar is commenting, it seems your wife is a financial manager of your home. Yeah, well, that might be said. My wife is greatly helping me to, manage this project. And I'm truly grateful for her for many reasons, by the way, for everything, actually. But also for assisting me to work with this project, because there is so many nuances that you have to constantly keep in mind to to work in this field. That and after all, we are not computers, isn't it? Time to time, forgetting something, and I always ask my wife to remind me, and she is always there for me. So yeah, I'm very lucky. And dear friends, that's about it. Thank you all for your attention. Thank you all for your time and support. I hope you liked this live stream. During the day, dear friends, maybe I will post second update either on Patreon and Boosty, or maybe I will have second live stream later on, as I did yesterday. Don't know yet. In any case, before I go, dear friends, let me just remind you that if you want to support, you can do it through several means. You can donate through PayPal, Boosty. You can subscribe to my Patreon page. There is a crypto option also. All the links are on this video description box and in the pinned comment. And many thanks to everybody who supported and continues to support and keeps me in this field of news and political commentary. Truly grateful. This is it for now. Have a wonderful day, dear friends, and take care.